In this episode, I'm going to show you how to take a 2x2 piece of foam and turn it into this great little column. Hey everybody, this is DM Jim and welcome to another episode of Game Terrain Engineering. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, those of you here in the US celebrating it. I'm back in the workshop. I've got a lot of projects going on right now, and I wanted to share one with you that was really simple, but it really packs a punch on the table. And you already saw it. It's this small little column right here. And what's really great about this is you can make it from a 2x2 piece of foam, 1/2 inch thick foam. And if you have a Proxxon, you can do this in about less than 2 minutes. I sit there and I just crank them out one right after the other. And they make this great little column that you can paint up and put anywhere on your gaming table. It doesn't require a ruler. If you have a Proxxon, you don't need a ruler. You're going to use the width of the foam and some other dimensions on the plate. But if you don't have a Proxxon, everything you're going to see in this video you can do with a ruler and a very sharp blade. Let's see how this is done. Okay, I'm using my Proxxon for this project, but as I mentioned previously, you can use a ruler and a blade for this. It's not a big deal. I'm starting with a 2 inch by 2 inch piece of foam that's 1/2 inch thick. And again, use a ruler and a knife if you want to cut this, but I used my Proxxon to cut. I actually made a bunch of these. I've got 2 left. But I want to show you how to make a very simple and repeatable column for your game table. First thing we're going to do is start with making a 1/2 inch wide cut. And you don't need a ruler for this. Just use the width of the foam. Put it up against the wire. Make sure it's lined up against this black line. And then push your fence up against it. Make sure it's square. That's good. And now what I want you to do is I want you to cut a 1/2 inch wide piece from this square. All right, set this aside. You're going to need it. You're going to end up with this 2 inch piece. Go ahead and cut 1/2 inch off. Just run it through. All right, set that aside. You won't need it. And you've got a 1.5 inch by 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch piece here. Now here's the thing. You want to cut a line all the way around all 4 sides here, but just very, very thin cut, not deep. So I'm looking at this from above. Actually, I'm going to come in a little bit. And I'm just going to touch it against the wire and make this little indentation. And I'm going to do it all the way around. Okay, see that? And then take the piece, flip it over. Do it from this end, same thing, all 4 sides. All right, see that? And you don't worry if this centerpiece is a little smaller, which is possible. It'll look symmetrical because since you flipped it, you'll be doing both of these sides the same distance in, so you'll have this column that has a symmetrical look to it. Take this piece and set it aside and return to your 2 inch by 2 inch, well, now 1.5 inch by 2 inch piece. On this piece, I want you to set the sled to the 20 mark. Turn it sideways here so you can see it. The table here is done in centimeters, so you can see it's 10, 20, 30. I'm going to take my sled and I'm going to set it to the 20 right there. See that? And I am going to run this piece through it. And then set this aside, you're going to need it. Take the piece, turn it sideways, and make another cut. And so what you're going to end up with is a 2 centimeter by 2 centimeter square, like that, okay? Set that piece aside. You're going to need that one. I apologize, you won't need this one. All right, 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters by 1/2 inch thick. I need to quarter this, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8. So you can do this with a blade, but I'm just going to use my Proxxon, and I'm going to eyeball it. I'm lining up the wire at the halfway point of the foam, and I'm going to run it through once. Okay, see that? Pretty close. Then I'm going to take this one and I'm going to cut it in half. So I'm going to look at the wire. I'm trying to get it at the halfway point. Run it through. Set those two pieces aside. Do the same for this remaining piece. Take it through. So you have 4 of those. And this piece, we're almost done. Take this piece that's left over, set your sled, set it just shy of the 20, maybe, I don't know, maybe 1/8 of an inch in, somewhere about 1.8 centimeters. It just needs to be smaller than this piece. Go ahead and cut a square, run it through, turn it sideways, run it through again. Okay, so you end up with this cube again, and you're going to do the exact same thing here. Cut it in half, and then cut those halves in half, so 1/8 of an inch each. So I'll do the half cut first. Okay, run that through. And again, they don't have to be exact. You can see I'm off by a little bit there. And then cut these in half. Set those aside. There's 2. I need 2 more. Set those aside. All right, you're done with your Proxxon unless you want to make more. And I would recommend you make as many of these as you want for your table. Take the, there's 4, 8, 9 pieces in total. So take the 9 pieces, stack them up, get rid of your Proxxon, or at least move it off the table. So you should have 4 of the very small squares, 4 of the 2 centimeter by 2 centimeter squares, and this column piece. Grab some glue, take 2 of the small squares, 2 of the smallest ones. You won't need those. You're going to take 2 of the big ones and glue down a small one right in the middle of it. You know this is a column, so you can probably see where this is going. All right. Try to center them as best you can. And let that glue dry really well. You can use hot glue for this, but I'm using tacky so that I can actually move it around if it shifts. All right, 1 small to 1 big, like this. Okay, like that. Then take this column piece, put a dab in the center, glue on one of the big ones, flip it over so you can see it and center it as best you can. And then of course place another drop of glue on top, cap it with another big piece like that. Center it as best you can. Okay. All right. After the glue is dry on these pieces and this, you'll put a dab of glue on the small piece, flip it over and glue it to here, put a dab of glue on the small piece there, and sit this on top. And what you're going to end up with is a piece that looks like this, okay? It has large, small, large, then the column, large, small, large. Very simple, easy to make. All it took was a 2 by 2 inch piece of foam, and you actually had quite a bit left over. This is what you're going to end up with. I'm going to go ahead and paint this black. It's a little weak and light, so what you may want to do is paint it with a Mod Podge coating with some black paint mixed in, like Jeremy over at Black Magic Craft does. I think that's what I'm going to do. It just strengthens it a little bit more. And once it's painted up, I'll give it the sponge painting to give it the stone texture, and it'll be done. Now, I would recommend that you make a bunch of these because I have an upcoming project that's going to use 2 of these. So make a bunch more, and if you've got 2, set them aside for a future project that won't be too many weeks, maybe a couple weeks away. Painting something small like this can sometimes be a little difficult. I like to sponge paint, so what I've done here is just cut a very small sponge. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut the edges so I don't get a square shaped stamp. And I'm going to use slate, or I'm sorry, this is graphite. It's a darker gray. And you know, there's all kinds of different color schemes you can do. DM Scotty has his, Wylock has his. A lot of my pieces match, they have the same color scheme. I start with a black base, graphite sponge painting and then edging it if I choose to edge with a lighter gray. And that's it. One 2x2 piece of foam into a small column. It's nothing fancy. It's a column, and it's a very simple column. But you could ramp it up. Take a 4x4, double all the dimensions, and you could make this taller, bigger base, all that. Just remember to glue a washer to the bottom so you have some ballast, so it won't tip over so easy because it's very light. But anyway, I hope you like this, and go make a bunch of them. And I'm hoping to come up with some more ideas using small amounts of throwaway foam. Those of us with Proxxons, we tend to have a lot of this. So I'm hoping I can come up with a few more ideas for future videos. But anyway, thanks for joining me. Hope you like it. Any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I'll do my best to answer them. And I'll see you in the next episode.